Okay, here I have an image that I've downloaded from the internet and I've placed it in my document. How I did that was I went up to File and Place, or I've already placed it there, okay? So there's my document. Okay, now what I have is I've actually traced it, and you can see that I've traced my dinosaur there, and I've actually put in some dark lines which you can hardly see there. But if I click off the background, you can see those dark lines. Those dark lines are going to be etched, and the outline hopefully will be cut. But the outline is not in the right color or the right stroke thickness. Okay, so the other thing worth pointing out is that I have here in my layers stacked the various parts of my drawing on top of each other. So my background, which is the placed image, is actually I can turn it off or turn it on. I can even lock it if I press that lock button. I can lock it so it doesn't move. Okay, and then what I've done is I've also done an outline. I've done my blue outline on this second layer, and I've done my black etching on the third layer. That helps me just control it a little bit more. Okay, and they're all visible. Okay, so here they are. I'm going to make my background invisible by turning off my placed image. Now I've got my dinosaur. Now it's all looking quite good. I haven't worried too much about the lines. Some of them are curved, some of them are straight. I think the straight ones look quite good for a laser cut light edge effect. So what we have here is the outline. Is the outline the right color? The outline is actually the wrong color. It's also the wrong line thickness. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is change the color first. To do that, I have to do that in my swatches. Now my swatches are here. You can see that that's in the front there, in that front of that little square there, is my stroke, and behind that is my fill. So I have no fill in the back. That's why you could see the image through it. Okay, if I wanted to fill that, I could actually then bring that to the front and choose a color there. But that's not what I want at the moment. I want to keep it empty with that red line there. Okay, but I do want to change the outline color. And so what I have to do is I have to change the color through my swatches. And so that's one way, and that's my preferred way. So what I do is I make sure I can actually create a new swatch by clicking on the little new swatch icon there, square with a plus in it, and I have to whack up the red, the green, and the blue. Now, what's important that I should have done before this is I should have changed the color mode of my document to RGB, which I have done. But if it's not showing RGB in the swatch palette here, you have to go to, I'll just cancel that. You have to go to File, Document Mode, and then change it from RGB. Change it to RGB rather. Okay, so that's it in RGB, that's fine. And now I'll create my swatch. I whack my red right up to 255. I take my green right down to 0 and my blue right down to 0. I can even put a name in here, and I'm going to call it lasercut red, but that's not required to make it work. So once I've done that, the laser cutter understands that a red line of pure 255, it will understand to cut around that line. It'll also understand any black to be an etched or an engraved effect. That way when the light comes through, it refracts through the etching. So that's why it's good to have a bit of black or a bit of design inside your laser cut profile. Now there's another aspect that's not correct, and that is the size or the stroke size. Now, if I can't see my stroke size is up here. You can see that it's actually 6 point. It's also down here. Now if I don't see it anywhere, I can go to Window and I can actually turn it on and off here by checking it. I'm not going to do that now because it's already selected. So what I do is I select that, my line, there it is there, and I go up here and I change this to 0.001 and do return. There you can see now that the line of my dinosaur is so thin that you can hardly see it. It's there. If I want to check it's there, I can go up to Window, View, I go to Outline, and that takes all the attributes off my lines. Go back to Preview, and there it is there. That's my amazing dinosaur. The laser cutter now understands what to do with it. It understands to cut the very thin line, 0.001, that's a pure red of 255, and it'll cut around there and do a great job. And then it'll etch in here either before or after it does the cut. Now the other thing I need to do is I need to make sure that I have some way for it to stand into my light box. Now we know that we've designed a slot in the light box, but what we haven't done is we haven't put a sleeve or a tongue that will go into the light box slot to hold it up. So what I need to do is I need to make a box here, and I want to show you the Pathfinder tool for a good way for it to join up to this dinosaur outline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change back the color so you can see it, or make it a bit thicker. So I'm going to whack it up there. There it is, a bit thicker. It's 0.5. Okay, so there it is. So you can see it. Now I'm going to make the tongue that fits into the slot. Now I know from the drawings that I need to make a box. So what I've done is I've selected on my rectangle tool, which is about 5 tools down from the top, and I've got a cursor here. I'm going to click Option and click, I think that's it. And what comes up is the size. Now it's in millimeters here, and that's great because my document unit size is in millimeters, and I'll show you how to change that in a minute. So it's going to be 50 wide by 20 high. So I go OK, and there it is there. That's my great box, and so it should sit there. Isn't that amazing? But then what I must make sure prior to doing that is that my units in document setup here is millimeters, which it was. But sometimes you'll find that it isn't, and so then you won't be able to do that box again. I'll do it again. So there's my box. I go up to File, Document Setup, check that my units are in millimeters. Then I go to the rectangle tool. I click Option and click, and then I have 50 millimeters by 20 millimeters. And I go OK. And there it is there. There's my box. I can move it along. Now, what's the problem with this? The problem is that the laser cutter will go around and actually cut the outline. What it'll do is it'll cut here and it'll cut again, and it'll separate the box with the dinosaur. So there's a problem there that I have to join the box to the outline of the dinosaur. Now I could either do that by cutting the line or redrawing the box bit by bit, but there's a better way of doing it. I'm just going to overlap them a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both. And I select both by clicking on one, holding Shift down, and selecting the second one. They're both selected. The internal lines aren't selected. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a great tool called Pathfinder. I go up to Window, and then I go down to Pathfinder. Where is Pathfinder? There it is. So Window, Pathfinder. And it brings up this palette here, and I have a number of options here. The one option that I want is this option here. It's the first one. It's the Unite option. And what I do is while those two are selected, I select this one. And there, lo and behold, you can see that it's joined the legs of the dinosaur to the box. Now it's all ready to go. What I have to do though is make sure my line thickness is, if you remember, it's 5 point, but it needs to be 0.001. Return, and there it is. There's my dinosaur. You can hardly see it, but it's ready to be cut out. by the laser cutter. So what I'm going to do now is save this. I'll do Command S for save. I'm going to save it in a place that I'll remember. I'll put my name on the document title. It'll be an AI file, and then what I'll be able to do is open it up in the Illustrator on the terminal that's next to the laser cutter, and the laser cutter will know that that thin 0.001 line in RGB 255 red, it'll cut and it'll etch the black lines. Okay, have a try yourself.